The smell hit me first. Not cologne, not sweat. Not the lingering greasy tang of fast food that sometimes clung to Tom after a long shift. This was different. Faint, floral, almost soapy clean, but unmistakably female. It wafted off the passenger seat headrest as I slid into his car that Tuesday morning, borrowing it for a dentist appointment, while mine was in the shop. Just a trace, like a ghost had brushed past. My stomach did a slow, unpleasant roll. Weird, I thought, dismissing it almost immediately. Maybe a colleague needed a lift. Tom worked in its support, mostly remote, but occasionally went into the office. Yeah, that must be it. Except it wasn't. That tiny, discordant note started a low hum in the back of my mind, a frequency I couldn't quite tune out. Looking back, the signs were probably there before the smell, little splinters working their way under my skin. Tom had been different. Not overtly distant, not exactly. He still kissed me goodbye, still asked about my day. But there was a subtle shift, a layer of preoccupation. He'd stare at his phone with a faint, secretive smile, fingers flying over the screen, then flip it face down the moment I entered the room. His explanations for being late home started having a new, recurring theme: deliveries. Sorry, babe, got absolutely slammed with orders tonight, he'd say, dropping his keys on the side table with an exaggerated sigh. Seriously, the app was pinging non-stop. Barely had time to breathe. He'd started driving for one of the big food delivery platforms a few months prior Spurt Eats. Said it was for extra cash to finally take that trip to Italy we'd been dreaming about. At first, I admired his hustle. He'd come home smelling of fried onions and exhaust, counting crumpled bills with a tired grin. Lately, though, the slam seemed suspiciously frequent, and the cash didn't seem to add up. Italy felt further away than ever. One Thursday, he was stuck in a delivery queue for nearly 2 hours past when his shift usually ended. When he finally walked in, he didn't smell like burgers or pizza. He smelled fresh, like shower gel and mint toothpaste. His hair was damp at the temples. Traffic was insane, he explained, grabbing a beer from the fridge, avoiding my eyes. Had to reroute like 5 times. Ended up near the university campus, total nightmare zone. The university campus was miles away from his usual delivery zones. The hum in my mind grew louder. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. His phone, once casually left charging on the kitchen counter, now lived in his pocket. He'd take it with him to the bathroom. He started showering the moment he got home from a shift, even before eating. Once, brushing past him as he hung up his delivery bag, a bright orange monstrosity emblazoned with the Spurt Eats logo, I caught that same floral scent again, clinging faintly to the fabric. My blood ran cold. I tried reasoning with myself. Paranoia. Insecurity. Work stress bleeding into my personal life. We'd been together for 7 years, lived together for 5. We had a mortgage on a small, slightly chaotic house filled with books and mismatched furniture, and the ghost of the Labrador we'd lost last year. We knew each other's coffee hors d'oeuvres, each other's weird sleep habits, each other's deepest fears, whispered in the dark. He couldn't, not Tom, not the man who held my hair back when I had food poisoning, who built me a bookshelf from scratch when I complained I had no space. But the doubt was a weed, its roots digging deep. The floral scent, the endless busy shifts with little extra cash, the immediate showers, the phantom smile at his phone, the way his delivery zones seemed to expand into affluent neighborhoods far from our own, neighborhoods where apartment buildings offered anonymity and quick access. One rainy Wednesday afternoon, I cracked. He was out on a shift. The house was quiet, too quiet. The rain lashed against the windows, mirroring the storm inside my head. I paced. I tried to work. I picked up a book and put it down. The orange delivery bag sat slumped by the front door, a garish accusation. Before I could talk myself out of it, I was kneeling beside it. My hands trembled as I unzipped the main compartment. Empty, just the faint, stale aroma of old fries. The thermal lining felt slightly damp. I unzipped the smaller front pocket. Usually, it held spare phone cables, maybe a crumpled receipt. My fingers brushed against something thin and crinkly. I pulled it out. It was a hair tie. A small, plain, black elastic band. Utterly innocuous. Except it wasn't mine. My hair is long, thick, and I use the big, coiled scrunchies that don't pull. This was a tiny, thin elastic, the kind used for finer hair, maybe a ponytail. It felt alien in my palm. Proof. Small, devastating proof that someone else had been in this bag, or near it, close enough to leave this behind. Close enough to Tom. The world tilted. I sat back hard on the hallway floor, the hair tie clenched in my fist, the rain drumming a relentless rhythm on the roof. The hum wasn't a hum anymore, it was a deafening roar. Confrontation bubbled up, acidic and desperate, but I swallowed it down. I needed more. I needed irrefutable proof, something solid enough to shatter my own desperate hope that this was all a terrible misunderstanding. The hair tie wasn't enough. He could claim it fell off a customer's wrist, got tangled in the bag somehow. Plausible deniability. I needed the how. And the delivery driver cover story was suddenly glaringly obvious. The perfect alibi. Constantly moving, paid in cash or untraceable tips, expected to be in different locations, legitimate reason to enter buildings, even apartments, and crucially, a reason to be away from home for unpredictable stretches. Glued to his phone, I started tracking. Subtly at first. He'd casually ask, "How's Spurt Eats tonight?" "Busy." He'd always say yes, elaborating with vague details about endless orders or problem customers. He'd note the times he left and the times he returned. The discrepancies grew. A quick 2-hour shift would stretch to 3.5. He'd claimed to be delivering in one suburb, but his phone location, which he'd forgotten to turn off sharing for after finding a parking spot once, would sometimes ping miles away in a completely different direction, often near that university campus or a cluster of high-end apartment complexes downtown. He started using more cash. "Tips," he said. "Great tips in those fancy areas." But when I casually mentioned needing cash for the cleaners the next week, he fumbled, said he'd deposited most of it already. The math wasn't mathing. The Italy fund remained stubbornly stagnant. The breaking point came on a Saturday night. He'd signed up for a late shift, 7 p.m. to midnight. "Gotta capitalize on the weekend rush," He'd said, grabbing the orange bag. "Big bucks tonight." He kissed me, a quick peck that felt perfunctory, and vanished into the evening. I tried to distract myself. Watched a movie I barely registered. Scrolled mindlessly through my phone. The clock ticked past 11 p.m. Then midnight. 12:30 a.m. No Tom. My texts went unanswered. Calls went straight to voicemail after 2 rings. Panic, cold and sharp, wad with a sickening certainty. At 1:15 a.m., headlights swept the driveway. Relief wad with fury. I heard his key in the lock. He looked flushed, slightly out of breath. "Babe, you wouldn't believe it. App crashed right at the end of my shift. Total nightmare. Had to wait forever for support. Then my last order was to this massive apartment complex. Couldn't find the right building. Guy wouldn't answer his phone." The words tumbled out, too fast, too detailed. He reeked of that floral scent, stronger than ever, mixed with the faintest hint of wine. He headed straight for the shower. I stood frozen in the living room, listening to the water run. The excuses were paper thin. App crash. Why didn't he call from another phone? Why was he breathless? And the scent it clung to the air even after he'd passed through. My eyes fell on his discarded jacket, slung over the back of the armchair. His phone was in the pocket. A reckless, burning need took over. I grabbed it. He'd changed his passcode months ago, citing security concerns after reading about hackers. Desperation made me try his old one, the one he'd used for years my birthday. It unlocked. My hands shook violently as I opened the Spurt Eats driver app. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I navigated to his earnings for the day. It showed a dismal total, 3 deliveries completed. 3. For a 5-hour shift. On a Saturday night? The payout was minimal. Where was the big bucks? Where was the endless rush? Then I checked the trip history. The timestamps were damning. His last delivery was marked as completed at 10:48 p.m. to an address downtown. After that, nothing. No activity on the app. For over 2 hours. 2 hours unaccounted for. After his last official delivery ended at 10:48 p.m. The app hadn't crashed during his shift. His shift effectively ended at 10:48 p.m. according to his own work log. He'd been lying. For hours. The water shut off. Panicked, I quickly closed the app, shoved the phone back in his jacket pocket, and retreated to the kitchen, busying myself with a glass of water I didn't want. He emerged, towel around his waist, steam billowing behind him. He looked relaxed. Too relaxed. "Long night," he said, padding towards me. "But worth it. Pulled in some decent tips." He reached for me. I flinched. I couldn't help it. The revulsion was physical, visceral. The sight of him, freshly showered, trying to touch me after whatever he'd been doing for those 2 missing hours, it made my skin crawl. He stopped, surprised. "Hey, you okay?" "No, Tom," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, though my insides were quaking. "I'm not okay." "Where were you really tonight?" "Because according to your Spurt Eats app, your last delivery ended at 10:48. It's 1:30 a.m. now. That's a long time to wait for app support or get lost." His face changed. The relaxed facade shattered, replaced by shock, then a flicker of panic, quickly masked by irritation. "Helen, what the hell? You went through my phone." I unlocked it. "With my birthday." The passcode you conveniently changed, but didn't bother updating to something I couldn't guess. "Answer the question, Tom. Where were you for over 2 hours? And don't lie to me." "Not again." The words hung heavy in the air. "Again." We both knew what it meant. He ran a hand through his damp hair, avoiding my gaze. "Look, okay, fine. The app did glitch after the last delivery. It logged me out, wouldn't let me back in. I tried calling support, they were useless. So I just drove around, cleared my head, ended up grabbing a coffee at that all-night diner near the highway. Must have lost track of time." He gestured vaguely. "The one with the bright neon sign. The one with security cameras everywhere." I pressed, my voice cold. "Great. Let's go check the footage tomorrow. See what time you arrived, if you were alone. Because you sure as hell don't smell like coffee, Tom. You smell like cheap perfume." Again. His jaw tightened. The irritation vanished, replaced by a defensive anger. "Oh, so now I'm not allowed to have a coffee without being interrogated. This is insane, Helen. You're being paranoid." "Paranoid." I laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. "Let's talk paranoia, Tom. Let's talk about the floral stink that keeps showing up in your car, on your delivery bag. Let's talk about the hair tie I found in your bag that isn't mine." I pulled it from my pocket, holding it up like a tiny, damning exhibit. "Let's talk about the endless busy shifts where you bring home barely any cash. Let's talk about you showering the second you walk in the door. Let's talk about you guarding your phone like it holds state secrets. This isn't paranoia. This is pattern recognition." He stared at the hair tie, color draining from his face. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The fight seemed to go out of him, replaced by a sullen resignation. He slumped against the kitchen counter, not looking at me. The silence was thick, suffocating. It screamed confirmation louder than any words could have. "So," I whispered, the anger momentarily eclipsed by a crushing wave of grief. "Who is she? How long?" He ran a hand over his face. It doesn't matter, Helen. It matters to me." My voice cracked. "It matters that you use delivering food as your fucking cover story. That you turned something you were supposedly doing for us, for our future, into this." The image of him, the orange Spurt Eats bag slung over his shoulder, knocking on some other woman's door, it was grotesque. Was it worth it? Trading 7 years for drive-by hookups. Using your delivery app like some kind of sick dating service. It wasn't like that. He snapped, finally looking at me, his eyes defensive, guilty. "It just happened. She was a customer. We talked a few times when I delivered. She was funny, easy to talk to. It started with texts. Then he trailed off, shrugging helplessly. It wasn't planned. It just happened." "Bullshit." The word exploded out of me. "Nothing just happens like this. You chose to text her. You chose to meet her. You chose to lie to me, over and over and over again. You chose to use your job, your time, our trust, to facilitate cheating on me. Don't you dare tell me it just happened." The tears were hot and furious now, streaming down my face. "Was it even just her?" He looked down at the floor. "No," he mumbled. There was another one. Briefly. Before her. The confirmation, the sheer scale of it, hit me like a physical blow. I braced myself against the counter, feeling like I might vomit. The mundane horror of it was staggering. The food deliveries. The bright orange bag. The app notifications, all twisted into instruments of betrayal. He hadn't even needed a fancy hotel or elaborate excuses. Just the Spurt Eats app and a willingness to lie. How could you? The question was a raw whisper. How could you look me in the eye every day? Kiss me? Live in this house we built? While you were doing that? He had no answer. Or rather, he had answers. I didn't want to hear excuses about feeling disconnected, about the monotony, about the thrill. Words that sounded hollow and pathetic against the wreckage of 7 years. The next few hours were a blur of numbness and sharp, stabbing pain. He slept on the couch. I didn't sleep at all. I sat in the dark living room, surrounded by the familiar shadows of our home, the bookshelf he built, the rug we bought together on a weekend trip, photos of us smiling on the mantel. All of it now felt like a stage set, a carefully constructed illusion hiding a fester and rot. The scent of that floral perfume seemed to linger in the air, a constant, sickening reminder. The logistics of betrayal played on a loop in my mind. Him accepting a delivery ping near her apartment, marking it as delivered while parking around the corner, slipping through the lobby or a side entrance. The orange bag, the symbol of his supposed dedication to us, left in the car or maybe slung carelessly by her door. The quick, furtive encounters in the middle of his shift. The calculated lies about traffic, app crashes, difficult customers. The immediate shower upon returning home, washing away the physical evidence before he touched me. It was efficient, cold, utterly dehumanizing. He hadn't just cheated, he'd industrialized it, using the gig economy as his seedy infrastructure. The betrayal wasn't just the physical acts, horrific as that was. It was the utter violation of our shared space, our shared life. Head brought the deception home. The smell in his car, the hair tie in his bag, these were tangible invaders, evidence that his secret life had bled into mine. Head contaminated our everyday reality with his lies. The trust wasn't just broken, it was pulverized. How could I ever believe a word he said again? How could I trust his location, his explanations, his reasons for being late? The foundation of our relationship wasn't cracked, it was vaporized. Seeing him on the couch the next morning, rumpled and guilty, didn't evoke pity, just a profound weariness and a burning disgust. The man I thought I knew was gone. In his place was a stranger capable of breathtakingly casual cruelty, wrapped in the utterly mundane disguise of a food delivery driver. The orange Spurt Eats bag, leaning against the wall by the door, looked obscene. A symbol of his double life, his infidelity fueled by the convenience of an app and the anonymity of a uniform. We talked, or rather, I talked. I laid it out. The evidence, the timeline, the utter devastation. He cried. He apologized. He begged. He promised it was over, that it meant nothing, that he was a fool, that he loved only me. The words were meaningless noise. The damage was absolute. The image of him using that delivery job, something I'd innocently supported, as his personal cheating concierge service was branded onto my brain. There was no coming back from the sheer, calculated ordinariness of how he'd done it. He moved out a week later. Temporary, he said, to give me space, to work on himself. I didn't argue. The silence in the house after he left was immense, a physical presence. It wasn't peaceful, it was the silence after an explosion. Everything looked the same, yet everything was irrevocably different. The absence of the orange bag by the door was the only visible change, but its phantom shape seemed burned into the space. Now, weeks later, the raw agony is dulled to a constant, heavy ache. I function. I go to work. I see friends. I pretend. But the betrayal has rewired me. I see delivery drivers everywhere now. The bright bags, the hurried strides. I wonder, is that guy genuinely rushing to deliver pad thai before it gets cold? Or was he checking his phone for a message from his side piece, calculating how long he can linger at her place before his next order comes in? The world feels subtly sinister, layered with potential deceit hidden behind the most banal facades. Tom still texts. Long, rambling messages full of regret and pleas. He says he quit the delivery job. He says he's in therapy. He says he'll do anything. I don't reply. What is there to say? Thanks for destroying us using the convenience of on-demand delivery. Glad your therapy is going well after you used your gig work as a dating app. The absurdity of it all is almost laughable if it weren't so soul-crushing. I keep the hair tie, not as a morbid souvenir, but as a blunt reminder. A tiny, black circle of elastic holding the entire weight of my shattered trust. It's proof that monsters don't always lurk in shadows. Sometimes they wear bright orange delivery bags, carry the scent of cheap flowers, and smile at you over breakfast before heading out to cheat on their route. They weaponize the mundane. And the worst part? The cover story is so damn plausible. Who questions the guy dropping off your pizza? He's just part of the background noise of modern life. The perfect camouflage for a coward. The smell of betrayal, you've learned, isn't always dramatic. Sometimes, it's just a faint, floral ghost in your partner's car, left behind by the woman he visited between delivering someone else's dinner and coming home to yours.